How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another...
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. Millennium Falcon. And this is episode number 150.
You have over 300 videos, you know.
Yes, I know the number of the Lost Heroes doesn't follow the amount of videos that we've done.
You started doing this format at a very odd time.
Yeah, but when you're severely ADHD, you just start things randomly and just hope that they work out. I never thought that I would actually get to 150 with this format. I mean, I've seen people do Lost Heroes before. They never go this far into it, and we're not even close to being done with the characters that I will still be reviewing and many more that I have found to go over. Now, in this one, we are doing...
Hey, Rube!
Oh, dear God, why?
That's how you summon Red Rube.
Okay, first of all, yeah, he shouts it on the cover, but he doesn't even shout it in every cover. And yes, he does say, hey, Rube, to transform, but you didn't need to shout it.
Are MLJ characters really considered lost heroes?
Considering that he's never been revived on the MLJ projects, yeah, he probably does qualify as a Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. Yeah, I'm going to start covering more MLJ characters on this Lost Heroes format. Now, I used to do MLJ months before I started doing the Lost Heroes segment, so there are still MLJ characters that I haven't covered that I would like to cover on this format. In fact, my first couple of MLJ months is either the first set, maybe even into the second set. I didn't have the first appearance of the characters, even though I was covering them. So not only will I be covering some of the characters that I haven't done from MLJ yet, I'll also be doing some of the ones that I'll be re-reviewing some of the ones where I didn't have the first appearances, so I can do a more and better review and give you those first appearances. And if you have any MLJ characters that you'd like to see that I haven't done yet, or would like to see them before I get to them, because like I said, lots of characters, you can always drop me a message saying, hey, I want to see this guy. Just like this, Red Rube is actually a request, which is why I thought he'd be great for the 150. So, I have my issues with this character. I don't like his civilian name, and I think he's a ripoff. You'll see how I go over this in the opener, and then in the first appearance, you might be saying, hey, okay, it's Captain Marvel. I've covered Captain Marvel several times over this, which I have never actually covered Captain Marvel's first appearance, which means I'll have to include him on a format of this just so I can have his first appearance gone over. Okay, this intro, I don't need it to be going over long. We've got a bit to review here. So we are doing Red Rube on the 150th Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. Red Rube, Reuben, first appeared in Zip Comics number 39, 1943. The original publisher is MLJ, and he was created by Ed Robbins. I don't like the fact that he's named Reuben. That is really ridiculous. I understand in the Golden Age you did things for literary purposes, with having the first and last name being the same letter, but it didn't need to be the same name. There's so many different other names that you could have started with R. Roy, Robert, Ray. I know redheads in the Golden Age were called Rusty. He could have even been called Red. Any one of those would have been fine, but Reuben? And I don't know why, but they decided to change the spelling of his name from the first and second issue. Rueben, repeated, Red Reuben, was changed to Reuben, repeated. And actually, it's still Reuben. Doesn't make any sense. Now, he appeared in the issues of Zip Comics 39 to 47. 47, he had 2 stories, so that's 10 appearances. He appeared in Roly Poly Comics number 10, which is a reprint of 41. Now, the only one I'm having any trouble with is the Weekender. Now, I see where he appears on the cover of the Weekender #1, but I can't find the Weekender #1. I found the Weekender #3, which he appears in doing a PSA, which didn't make any sense because all the stories in the Weekender were from Dynamic Comics, but nothing to do with MLJ, so Red Rube having a PSA was completely inexplicable. But he is in #3. I can only find the cover of #1, which I believe is the cover of Zip Comics #45. The Weekender was just reprints of other things. Now, over the years, a lot of MLJ characters have been brought back in some way and format. Red Rube has not been brought back as of yet. There was even a thing back in the 60s where they brought back a whole host of MLJ characters for the Mighty Crusaders. I think the most prominent members were Fly and Fly Girl, Shield, Black Hood, and Comet. And in the Mighty Crusaders #4, a whole cavalcade of characters that have been part of MLJ comic books over the years would actually appear in that, except 4 of the past MLJ characters, Red Rube being one of them. And, I mean, he would have fit. I mean, he has powers and abilities, despite the fact that he mimics Captain Marvel in so many different ways. And he starts off as an orphan, just like Captain Marvel, and he ends up working for the newspaper as a contrast to Billy Batson working in radio. Now, at first he starts off slinging newspapers on the corner before he actually becomes a reporter for the Daily Sun. And he's mostly just like doing good and helping people. And his last couple of appearances, he fights Nazis. He actually takes down Nazis, which at the time really didn't make much sense. Now, around the time of Red Rube's appearance in the comic books, they were starting to go for a more humorous format. So there were a lot of jokey, funny things mixed in with Red Rube. So he was kind of lighthearted, not as the joke comics were, but not as hard-hitting superhero as you would have been used to back then. Now, on the cover of Zip Comics, he would appear on the cover of all the issues where he was introduced, and he would be sharing it with Sterling Silver, except he pushed Sterling Silver out of 2 of the covers. And despite being on the covers, he never was the featured story. Even in the ones where he pushed Sterling Silver off the cover, Sterling Silver was still the covers, or the first story in every comic book. Red Rube kind of appeared around the middle. Never a backup feature, but never the featured story. Now, I mean, there's not too much more to go into this. What I'm describing to you about him is all covered in his first appearance. The transformations, the ancestors, and every one of his ancestors was named Reuben before him. I don't understand why. Were you at a time crunch and you couldn't think of a proper name, so you named him twice? The same name? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not a big fan of the faces that he has in this. In the first number of appearances, he's got the black soulless eyes with expressive eyebrows. And he didn't actually get proper eyes until the last couple of issues, where they actually make him have proper eyeballs and not just a darkened in version of Little Orphan Annie. She had the hollow white eyes that made her look like she was possessed. He has the soulless dark black eyes. The Sterling Silver stories had regular eyes. There was no reason he couldn't have regular eyes. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and cover the first appearance. You can see the sharp contrasts. I don't think that Fawcett would have gone after him. I mean, there were just enough differences where he didn't look like a knockoff, and Fawcett had its own deals with National Periodicals at the time, which, if you've seen my videos, I've covered something like that. So let's go ahead and cover his first appearance, and then you can see I don't have a problem with him. It's just that I've seen it. Okay. Let's, I don't believe he could fly, though. So let's get into this, and we'll cover Red Rube. Red Rube. Who is this swashbuckling, romantic new hero of millions? What is the amazing secret behind him? That's the opening page. What? How is that your lead? We've covered heroes that have only had first appearances who have bigger lead boxes than this. Look at that. And why is he a swashbuckling hero? At no point does he ever carry a sword or gun on a pirate ship. It makes no sense. Okay. What is the connection between the poor little orphan Reuben, God, and the new heroic figure of Red Rube? What is the mystery of the old castle on the hill? Start reading Red Ruben's astonishing answers now. You know, this now is in bold red text, like it's demanding you to read this. Get the answers now. Okay. So we see that there's this door here, and we see a couple of whacks. I can't stand it anymore, and he runs out the door. And you can see the swoosh marks, so you can tell he's moving at a considerable speed. And he's being yelled at by this bald guy with that... Is that a cat of nine tails? Well, it's got 5 at least lashes on it. And we heard whap. Were you whipping him with that? Oh, yeah, look, there's the page. He was getting... Why are you whipping people in an orphanage? Jesus Christ. Even for the 40s, that thing's kind of rough. Okay, catch him. It's that Reuben boy. And these guards have to be working for the orphanage. But there's 2 of them. How much trouble are you having in an orphanage that you have 2 guards with billy clubs? Okay, so they chase after him, and he looks like he's hiding it's either a little tiny cave or a storm drain. I'm going to go with it being a storm drain. That would actually make more sense. Here's profanity. It's beginning to rain. Come on, we'll go back to the orphanage and get the cops after him. Now you're going to call the cops. Wow, okay. Text box says much later, and we see him... I've walked for miles in the rain. I gotta find some place to rest. Maybe up there. God, but my back hurts. Yeah. I know those whap marks on your back are fresh. I mean, I'd like to say, what did you do to get whipped like that? But I don't think anybody deserves to be whipped like that. Okay. So he knocks on the door, and this old grizzled Kai, who's there? Why, it's young Master Reuben. How do you know my name? Well, that's a really good question. If you know who he is, why is he at the orphanage? Why didn't you look for him? But at last he's come home. My long wait is over. You were waiting. Why didn't you go look for him? He's the master of the castle. He shouldn't have been at the orphanage. Okay, so he gives the boy a drink, and just as he drinks, he falls dead. Okay, I guess he was waiting to die. That's a really grim thing to say, but that's what happens. Okay, where am I? I remember. Where is the little old man? He's dead. Yes, he is very dead. Okay, so Reuben is scared, and he starts running through the castle, and he's like, wait a minute, he knew what my name was. I wonder how. I gotta stay and find out. Wow. Okay. I've seen your eyes in the rest of the stories. This is the only time your eyes have been that expressive. You actually have pupils. So he opens a random door and he sees all the pictures of the wall. A whole room full of pictures. And as you read them, you can see Reuben the first, Reuben the second, Reuben the third. You guys had no imagination with your names. They've all got my name. Well, no, technically they don't because they're the first, second, third, and fourth, and you're not. But, okay, yeah, I get that. So he sits at this grand dining hall. Gee, I'm tired out. I wish I knew whether these pictures are of my ancestors, ho-hum, or mumble. He's fallen asleep. And then at least 5 of his ancestors are around the table, all ghostly form. Let's go ahead and read this. This is a little bit of exposition. Well, here he is. At last he's come back. Well, why was he gone? At last, the last in the line of the Reubens. Horrible name. Look how he's been beaten. Tisk tisk. Reminds me of my old days on the African coast. We must help him. Huh? So the ancestors start to become more corporeal. So he's talking to him and he says, we are all your ancestors, the Reubens. Why do you keep saying it over and over again? And we're going to help you to right the wrongs that have been done. Yes, I'm going to give you my strength. Bah, what good is strength without brains? I'll give him my brains instead. And they all start arguing with each other, and then the first of the Reubens speaks up. Cease, stop your squabbling. Because young Reuben is the true descendant of all of us, he's already inherited all of these qualities from you. In addition, he must also inherit my wisdom. But he says that he needs to bring these forces together and he needs to summon who he is. Since we are all named Reuben, he will do this by calling, Hey Rube. Try it, my son. He says, Hey Rube. There's a whirlwind around him, and suddenly he's donned with a cloak. It's kind of a cape cloak. I think there's like one other occasion where you wear that cape, so there really isn't much of a point to it. Well, I'll be darned. Look at me now. But where are the others? Oh, I get it. I'm them all wrapped up in the one. I'm Red Rube. Old Reuben the First said to right the wrongs that have been done to me. Well, that's easy. All I have to say is Red Rube, and he swishes back to his young form. So, I guess he goes back to the orphanage, and I guess he's going to get... I don't think he's getting revenge. I think this is more justice at this point, considering what happened last time he was there. So, he walks back to the orphanage and lets himself get captured by the guards, who actually gag him. They bind and gag him, and they take him to the basement. I don't know if they knew he could transform, but he can't say it right now. So, you ran away, tried to duck out on your beating. I had them gag you, and now you can't yell. And now, ha 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 ha. Crack, he go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He whips this thing at him at least 6 times before he's... but the curling lashes knock off the gag, and with his last breath, Hey Rube! This guy is horrible. All he wanted to do was whip you over and over again, and when he transforms, the cape is on his head again. Who are you? What are you going to do with that? Don't hit me. Don't worry, I wouldn't hit you with that. And he starts to spank the guy in charge. That's so wrong for some reason. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read these last 2 panels. Sometime later at the governor's office. Yes, sir. He used to beat all of us, and we never had enough to eat. So you say this Red Rube made them all confess and saved your hide for you as well. I wonder whether he'll keep on as a fighter for what for what's right in the world. Yes, sir, I've got a hunch he will. And then he breaks the fourth wall as he winks at us. And that is the first Red Rube. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you've been a viewer of mine for a long time and you bring other people over here who might enjoy this stuff and they don't know any other place to find it. So, like I said, I've still got more characters to come. MLJ's quality, gonna start getting more into Chesler. Got a lot of stuff ahead. So until next time, I'll be seeing you.